Good morning. And yes, I know it's been a few days since I made a video and I'm not really looking the part at the moment. So because of the 9th of May, there was I don't even like martial law where all the cities that I go to, Kharkov, Kherson, Mykolaiv, Odessa, right, they were all shut down because they were afraid that there was going to be something special that Putin was going to do, right? So no one was really allowed to leave their house, and you definitely couldn't get in or out of the cities. So I had to stay home, right? So that's where you saw the post I did yesterday where I decided to do some moral encouragement for my guys, and we had, in Ukraine, we call it shashlik, shish kebabs. Trust me, they are way better here in Ukraine than in America. Way better. But anyway, and so that you know, we fed about 25 people with the meat, mushrooms, chicken wings. There is a guy who lived in Kyiv. He's living with us at the moment, and he's from Texas. Yeah, I don't know why they let people from Texas into Ukraine. No, I'm kidding. Right, but so for him, I had to make barbecue chicken just to make him feel a little bit home. All right, so here you can actually find barbecue sauce now. We didn't used to, so I had to learn how to make my own. But so we did it, and so for $100, we fed 25 people with all of that meat. I don't think that's bad. And then it took me an entire day to get enough fuel. Remember, I'm holding this up with my hands. I have a car that runs on propane and runs on gasoline. So gasoline's about $8 a gallon. Propane is about $4 a gallon. So in order for me, and you have to wait in line for an hour. So you're waiting in line for an hour or so to get about 1 gallon of propane, and then 1 gallon, and then you have to go to a different gas station and fill up again. So add all those up, right? If you got a 20-gallon tank and you're getting 1 gallon, 5 gallons at a time, it takes a while. So it actually took me 2 days to fill up both tanks. All right, so I got propane tank full, and then I got the gasoline tank full. Now, it feels, we were joking, remember that story about Peter having to get out of the boat and walk to Jesus? That's pretty much what it feels like. You feel the Lord saying, all right, you have to go and do this, and you have to go and do this. And you're like, Lord, if I take a step out of the boat, I'm going to drown. Like, if I drive outside of my city and there's no more gas stations, I'm stuck on the side of the road, and I can't go anywhere. But he's like, are you going to get out of the boat? You're like, okay. So you get out of the boat. And praise God, I was able to find gas and propane, try to be smart about it, and I stopped when I got to a quarter tank. Only because, again, remember, it's a 12 to 13-hour drive, right? So when you get to a quarter tank, meaning when you go down a quarter, when you still have 3/4 of a tank left, you start looking for gas stations because it might take you another quarter of a tank in order to fill up. Sometimes you find a place that will fill up your tank. Sometimes they only give you 15 liters, right? Or 20 liters. So you have to figure those things out, right? So I did actually make it all the way down to Odessa. I got here last night. I stayed. And actually, it was kind of fun. I got to a hotel, and I was the only person in the entire hotel. And I told them why I was there and what I was doing, and they were actually going to give me the room for free. But I wanted to help out some. And then I parked my car in the parking garage. Right? At night, again, it's dark. Then I went into a room, stayed there, woke up this morning so I could go on to my next place. And when I went out, my car was 2 bays down. It's a parking garage, a couple, like 3-4 floors. And next to my parking spot, like 3 or 4 spaces down, there was a bunch of like wicker chairs and tables and pillows stacked high. And I was wondering, it'd be a weird place to store this stuff, but whatever. I got in my car, and then I started to drive, and when I left, I saw it from the other angle. And it's a tank. It's a tank they are hiding inside of a parking garage. That makes good sense. Right? No, I did not take pictures. No, I'm not going to take pictures because you don't know exactly where I was staying, and they don't know where I was staying, and I'm not showing them where the tank is. But it was funny anyway. I know I've already gone 5 minutes into this video, but there's something else I wanted to tell you that's a blessing, and I'm going to try and keep my wits about me when I'm saying it to you because I might get a little bit emotional. I was listening to a sermon. It's not really a sermon. It was more like a testimony. A testimony from a man who grew up in a family. They were missionaries to Papua New Guinea. But they were missionaries in Papua New Guinea back when no one had ever been there before. Kind of like Elizabeth and Jim Elliot. You know, when they got in the boat and people were going to throw spears at them. It was the same situation. They got to where they were supposed to go by canoe. And when they got there, right, they were very lucky that the father had gotten out of the boat with a baby, and that is a sign of peace. Right, so they were able to stay in the village and they were there for years and years and years and years and years. And he tells really, really good stories about what happened there. It's really worth a listen. I'll put a link to it in this video. Right, but the thing that was important to me was, as a missionary, a guy who's been here for 19 years, this man, when he was 77 years old, his adult children took him back to the mission field where he had done his work, and he had done an amazing job, a job that I wish I could do someday. And when he came back, the indigenous people were so happy that he had come and that he had actually changed the life and the culture of the people that he was there to preach the gospel to, that when he showed up, because the only way to get to this village, this remote place, is by the canoe, the grandchildren of the men who were the paddlers for the 77-year-old were now the paddlers. So they basically, it was so important to them that the man who paddled, you know, the four paddlers, when the Americans sat in the middle and they paddled him to the village, now the grandsons of the four paddlers were the one paddling him, because obviously they're also 70, 80, 90 years old, because they were old enough to paddle him in, to take place. So it was just like this big commemoration thing for him. And to me, that means that was a big deal, right? Nobody just does that just because, right? They valued what it is he did when he came to the field, and because of that, they wanted to reenact it. It was something important in their culture. Right? I would like to be such a missionary someday. I'm not nearly as good or as important as this guy is. But the last week, something similar has happened to me. No one paddled me in a canoe. But you understand that I have never taken support to come to Ukraine. I can't really say that now. For my first 19 years, I just paid myself. I owned a company, I took savings, I sold all my belongings, and I moved here and I just paid myself to live here. This last time, God had other plans for me, and you guys have been kind enough to sacrifice, жертвовать in Russian, to sacrifice your money so that I can be here and take care of them. Buying gas for people. We go through probably easily $1,000 a week in gas and in supplies and oil changes and stuff like that, just for those sort of things, on top of feeding the people and all of the little things that go on, right? That being said, I've also spent some money on buying the tourniquets, and praise God for Gulf Coast Baptist Church that sent me up some gospel tracts so I could wrap them around the tourniquets, right? So now, like today, I was able to go into a barracks and hand them out to the soldiers so that they can read it and wrap the tourniquet in their uniform so they have something that keeps them alive. Again, you've heard me say this, and we do much more than the tourniquets. Just that's something that I get to do. Medications, we've taken care of a couple of churches' medications. We have paid a couple of water and gas bills for people that are living in the basements. We've brought food into these churches that have basements, have people living in, whatever the case may be, right? And just last week, well, this week because it's Friday, just this week, 3 different Ukrainians, one pastor from Kharkiv, one dentist from Kamenets-Podilsk. I never say that right, but it's somewhere near us, right? And another doctor in a different city, right? All 3 of them contact me and say, hey, how can we give you money? In my mind, they're the ones that are missing, right? Like the pastor isn't in his home church. His family is across the border. He is stuck here because he is of fighting age, right? Living in an apartment, right, that he's renting. So he's not staying in his own house. He's renting an apartment. He's paying for his own food. He's helping to pay for his wife and his children to stay wherever it is that they're staying. He doesn't have a car anymore. And technically at the moment, he doesn't have a job. And he's wondering how he can give me money because he thinks what we're doing is important enough to give money to keep the gospel going out. One of the doctors that I brought 200 of the tourniquets to so that he could go to the base to give them to the soldiers, he wanted to give some money to support it. And then the dentist, who is not even a Christian, the dentist that I bought them from asked me to come and get some more supplies that he has bought and take them to the villages that I'm going to, right? And he asked me how we can put money in my bank account as well. Now, maybe that's something little to you, but that's something really big to me. The fact that the Ukrainians that are hurting, that aren't working, that don't have money, right, are wanting to make an offering to the American guy who has money to go and do these things because they believe in what it is he's doing so much that they want to be a part of it. Or at least that's how I took it. That's how I feel. I mean, that's if I read you what it is that they wrote in Russian, that's what you would see, right? And that's my paddlers in the boat story. So it means a lot to me to know that I'm not just here doing something. I'm here doing something that even the Ukrainians consider valuable. Now, you probably won't see me for a few days. I will still try and make my videos, but my time here is beginning to come to an end. I probably have another week, maybe 2. I'm waiting for some documents to come through. My wife is probably 12 weeks pregnant and having morning sickness and mood swings, and she needs some help around the farm. So I can't in good conscience stay here and let things happen to my family. So I might be switching gears here pretty soon. So I'm getting things set up where all of these things can happen in my absence. Now, it would happen without me anyway. I am not important in this. I am just a cog in a wheel. But I want to make sure that the people that I'm connected with continue to get the support that I bring them. The people that are bringing support to other churches, to other cities, right, that they can still get the finances to keep doing it. So after 19 years of being in the field and never asking for a dime, I might become the face of what it is we're doing here in the States and might go around to the churches and ask and see if there's a way for me to get support so they can send it to me. Now, I do have an appointment tonight at 8:30, if you guys would pray for that, with a law firm to actually officially put in his foundation ministry. So I will have a real not-for-profit. So if people decide that they want to make an offering to me, they can get the tax write-off. And through that tax write-off, we can send money here and not lose it in the transition because the GoFundMes and the PayPals, they all have fees involved. And this way I would be able to do it without having fees. All right, so we'd be able to get more money to the people that need it and be able to help them out. There are other organizations, all right, that would like to do that as well and kind of cut out the middleman. And this firm it looks like, I don't know for sure, but this firm looks like they're going to do it pro bono for me. So praise God again for his goodness and what it is he does. So if you guys would pray that everything would go well with his foundation ministries, that I would be able to do this without having to pay for it, and that it would get done quickly so that I can get the money coming in that way. And there will be openings for me to speak and be able to talk about getting things over here. Yes, there is a lot of humanitarian help that is coming into Ukraine. Unfortunately, not all of it's getting it where it's supposed to be because it's a third world country and things get stolen or stored away and waiting for to be able to be sold. Right? This goes directly into the hands of people that are getting directly to the people who need it. And I want to make sure that that continues. So if you guys could pray along those lines, all right, that everything will go well. And hopefully it looks like my family's immigration paperwork here will be done very soon. And then Katya and the kids can come back here with me, right? And we can serve here together and I won't have to be away from my family. So, but that's That's not an answer yet. We'll have to see how that comes. But anyway, if you guys would join me in prayers for immigration, for His Foundation Ministries, for the continued support, and to keep the lines open for the people that are taking the trips in my stead. And God's graciousness, because He made me feel like what it is that I'm doing here, the Ukrainians value. And that's more important to me than anything other than what God thinks. He's obviously most important. If He's happy, everything else goes the way it's supposed to. But if the people that you're serving don't feel as though you're serving them, maybe you should check and see how you're doing things. And this was just a confirmation that I needed to encourage my soul. Anyway, 15 minutes in. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you for your support. Thank you for allowing me to do this. And hopefully in the next few weeks, I'll be able to see some of you. Bye.